We am live.
We am live. That's my line.
You took
What's
my
going
line
on,
last
guys?
time. I take yours this time.
Fine. What's going on, guys? It is the Sunday live
Oh,
stream, though, because Zachary Release is also live streaming right now. I don't know how many people are actually going to be watching. Though I'm starting to feel like there's not as much crossover as I think there is. So who knows? But it currently shows 0 people watching, and that's not very.
that's not encouraging.
But it always takes a second to kick off. And I did actually mute my phone ahead of time. So I know that Hide Atarasi was watching earlier, around 7 or so. So hopefully people will show up. Oh, dude, it has been a heck of a weekend already.
Agreed.
So I worked yesterday, which was pretty rough. Lots of heavy stuff to move. Because I've been relegated to moving the big, bulky, heavy stuff at work.
Of course.
Because it's like I'm slightly less impactful that way. And seemingly more efficient than the guys who were doing it, honestly.
Well, that's something at least.
At least to me, watching how I do it versus the way I've seen them do it, I seem like I'm a hair slower, but I'm also doing it more efficiently. So, if that makes sense, or safely. Anthony Aelio, what's going on? So this is how busy my Saturday was. So normal work, got off of work, came home, showered, lunch, changed clothes, and then we went couch shopping because we've needed a new couch forever. Like you've been here. That the main couch it's not even that old. It's maybe 6 years old, and it's just broken. And we found out
because you almost fall through it if you're not careful.
In a way, especially where the wifey sits, her spot was really worn out. Like the backside actually blew out and all the stuffing was falling out. So she was basically sitting on the bare springs. So we had already done shopping online. So we knew what we were after. We knew what store we were going to. So we went down there. If you guys have ever been furniture shopping, it's just like buying a car. You get a salesman, they show you everything on the lot while you're trying to search for the exact thing you want. And then you have to argue your way through most of it while slowly talking with your spouse about your needs and things like that. So ultimately, we found a nice 3-piece set so we can actually have matching furniture for once in the living room.
Ooh, nice.
So we have to get rid of the green couch now. So we got to find out somebody who wants that. So we get all that done. We head home. She's hungry. It's mid-afternoon. She hasn't even eaten breakfast because she's a dork like that. Stop off at Freebirds. Get a big burrito.
Yeah.
That's when I noticed on Facebook that people are finding a certain something at GameStop. So since we're out and about and literally in between the two GameStop stores, I run to the main one and I find this.
Ooh.
The new NECA movie Splinter. And unfortunately, that's all they had. So if you guys remember FDCC last year, there was a 4-pack of Shredder, Splinter, and 2 foot soldiers, along with a diorama of him strapped to the fence. Not a lot of people got that. However, they only had Splinter at that one store, so I checked the registry online. The other store had this guy.
Nice.
So now I have all 4 movie Turtles, Shredder, and Splinter from the first movie. No Foot Clan, because apparently one guy went in and cleared out all of them. So somebody has a nice little foot army.
So either an army builder or a scalper. Let's just assume army builder.
Well, we've already seen scalping posts, so people were picking up the whole set and then extra Foot Clan. So trying to find the other thing I bought.
Those NECA figures are just so cool looking. If I had the extra space and money for them, I would probably be picking up some of them. At some point I may pick up Leonardo or something like that just to have one or something.
Good luck with that. They don't have them anymore.
Well, I'd have to track it down.
They're not just sitting on the shelves anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd have to track one down and pay double or triple the price. But
if you want the quarter scale, those are back out.
That's the smaller ones, right?
No, quarter scale.
Oh, okay.
They're like that tall, but they are perfect. The quarter scale
Those
are
are
actually
cool looking too, though.
the quarter scale are actually the ones that are shown on the actual packaging for the little ones.
Okay, I was wondering about that because I was looking at those pictures and thought it
Yeah,
was like
if
those
you go
look too good.
if you go through my review of them, I point that out. Especially with Michelangelo, it's easy to tell because he actually has like fabric,
Oh
like
yeah, I
the
remember that
headband is
now.
fabric, or the tassels coming off are fabric, and on these they're not. Also, the fact that with Mikey, he can actually do the over under with the nunchucks, and the smaller ones can't because I broke mine trying to do that.
Yeah,
All
I
right, who
remember.
else
I
we got?
remember you talking about that now.
Yep. So, but I've got my turtles already on their own shelf down there underneath the Power Rangers. So I'm just gonna set up Splinter and Shredder like fighting behind them. And then when I get my YouTube money in, I'll get the rest of my lighting. Which, by the way, guys, of course, the other day I posted my updated lighting video, which you guys seem to actually really like. Seems like a lot of people saw the new lighting video, but hadn't seen the first one just yet. So, but that was fun. Kind of a headache, but nowhere near as bad as doing the first one. So
I
I'm gonna be
still
making.
say you need to do more custom lighting things with the additional with the other statues or something. Now that you've done something specifically for Dawnbreaker.
Well, it makes more sense for Dawnbreaker because he's literally making light constructs. So to have that light up makes the most amount of sense. I want to take a NECA figure and mount him on a block of wood and cut a slot for a respective DVD. Do you mean a display of the DVD case? Is that what you mean? Are the huge ones new? No, they're actually re-releases. So if you're seeing them at your comic shop, odds are those are actually the first release. So, but those are really really cool. But you were telling me you wanted me to light up the drowned as well, but I think the water effect it might be a little much. It might
I
be
still
just
think it would look cool though.
for
You should try it.
water. It might not make sense. Um, if I get a different kind of puck light or I get a dimmer, that's the biggest problem. Is that like it is
True.
super bright.
Yeah, it kind
Which
of at least on the video, it sort of washes out the green a bit.
yeah, I mean it looks really cool, especially because it makes his feet and everything light up from underneath. But I can get the dimmer switch, which is a remote, because all of that stuff can be remote controlled. Um, so if I look into how that's going to work, then I can buy the remote and I can actually dim the lights on the shelves themselves, so I don't have to, do that. But I think it dims them all together. Also had the Thundercracker review on Friday. You guys seem to really like that as well. I will have an update video that I mentioned in that review of a comparison to the stock out of the box version to mine, and so you guys can see what just some painting can do. Also, you can see how close that the paint color is to the raw plastic that way. So that'll be coming out probably on Tuesday. I have the footage. I had no time to edit. We went to bed like after midnight last night, and we got up at 10 a.m. and we were going all day long with cleaning, getting everything ready, destroying our old couch, hauling it out to the curb, and like originally somehow planned to go to my parents' house today, and we just had no time. So, but yeah, if you've got the money, I suggest getting those quarter scale ones, but they are expensive. One of them cost as much as all four of the 6-inch turtles.
But how much are they, if you
About
remember?
120.
Ouch.
But you might catch them on sale for like 99. Big Bad Toy Store still has some of them, and I believe they're getting the re-releases. The quarter scale Shredder looks amazing. They've released
I can
him
imagine.
end of last year, if I remember correctly. Quarter scale Shredder. It looks so good. This one looks fine. I haven't pulled it out of the box, and he does come with the full cape. So he's just like his full Shredderness. I'm gonna love it. So we just got to sit back and hope that they'll eventually do a Secret of the Ooze. Although with where's Shredder? No, Splinter. Splinter comes with the ooze canister.
Which version did they use? Because the version that they show in the flashbacks in the first movie is different from the version that they use in the second one?
It looks like the flashback one because it
Okay,
doesn't
so
have
it
the
doesn't say
whole
TCRI.
It said TCRI, but I think it looks a little bit different than the movie 2 versions.
Okay.
And he does come with the nunchucks. So, you know, he does use the nunchucks.
Oh, so he does the thing where he grabs the Shredder's spear or whatever that was.
Yeah. And he does come with a slice of pizza, just like everybody else did. I don't know what the point of that was, to be perfectly honest.
If it could go on his head, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Kids. But
God, I love that movie. I need to watch it again now.
and he does have, and you know, this is not a real review, but he's wearing actual cloth, so it's real soft goods. So that could either be really good or really bad. We'll see. I will say, obviously, this is not a pre-review thing, but check the eyes when you're buying them, because the first one I grabbed off the shelf, he had an eye that was like,
ah,
and there's a mosquito hawk floating around in here.
Skater hawk.
Skater hawk. All right, so I just see here. Yep, real cloth clothes. So, hey guys, if you are watching, make sure you comment in the thing so we know you're here. I did finally get my repro labels in, so I'll be doing a video on that also this week. I do have Gunpla reviews coming because I finally realized I needed to get back to building Gunpla. I'm going to be doing a not a 3-part review. I'm going to be reviewing 3 Gunpla at the same time because they're all basically the same kit. So that'll be coming up this week, and then next week we'll have the thing that I'm currently working on, which will also tie in to some degree to our origin review for next week.
Cool.
Build a pizza series, indeed. And there are some like Etsy guys who are making like pizza boxes and stuff for these guys, so you can actually have like a better setup and things like that. And of course, my buddy Josh Fisher built a whole sewer diorama for his.
A scaled down Domino's pizza box would be amazing.
Somebody they made them. But anyways, what did you all have this week on your channel?
Let's see. So this week, I started off with the Mars 4 Gundam with weapons, sort of a two-for thing, because those armors are cool, but they really need to have their weapons packs in order to be worthwhile.
Yeah. Because in your review, you may have incurred the wrath of our little red friend.
Oh,
with a comment at the end. So look forward to a potential video at some point. Because I've had a grand idea since Tuesday when I watched that review.
Of course, what's funny is this isn't for. So the other video I posted was a Rodimus Prime video that only 7 people have watched. So please check that out, guys. Please. But anyway,
you're Rodimus Prime. You're a G1 Rodimus Prime. Yeah.
But the video that should be going up Monday, I haven't started posting that yet, but I'll do that tonight. I actually flubbed up something and didn't realize it until like my second watch through when I was editing. And so I actually had to go in, and I knew I wasn't going to do a good job of like dubbing over myself. So I just did the most obvious job ever. And on the second time I had to do it, I put the little text up there that says like nailed it or something like that.
We shall see.
I kind of wish I had access to the char chicken then, because that would have been hilarious.
Oh, you may not have to worry about that.
So yeah, but the going back to the Transformer thing, I'm starting a new review series where I'm going through all of my Rodimus Primes and Hot Rods and stuff, because it sounded like a cool idea. I just hope people actually watch it.
Yes. Hopefully they will, because it deserves it, to be totally honest. But sorry, I was in the middle of doing a thing, and now I'm going to show the thing I was doing.
Okay.
As soon as the share screen clears through. There we go. So guys, over on the Shoki store, make sure you go check out the new Char Chicken actually shirt. It is available right now. And for those of you who weren't paying attention, the hashtag nub shaming shirt was available up until Friday. Unfortunately, I believe only one person managed to snag that before it shut down. So if you see the front, it does say Shoki Reviews with the little buddy hanging around the side. And then the back is the actually.
I need to
So
get me one of those at some point.
yeah, so that will be available for a while. Different styles of shirts, fairly well cheap. And if it's still cold where you're at, there is a hoodie as well. So you guys can do that. So go check that out. Usually in the link in the description, if I remember to put it there. So, but anyways, shall we go ahead and get going?
Sure, because we've been rambling for about 16 minutes now, it looks like.
It's okay. This episode's actually pretty quick. I gotta shrink this down.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened, but at the same time, not a lot of stuff happened.
it was a fairly quick episode. So we are on episode 6. Garma rises. The rise of Garma is more likely what it should be. No, this is the rise of the Red Comet series. So basically, we start out on uprisings and things happening. Rioting after the Declaration of Independence, more or less, last episode, right near the end there. We see protesters in the streets, once again, going up against gun tanks. And they're saying that there's barriers being put up. People are organizing. They're being attacked by the feds, trying to, peacify the uprising. And actually, we find out it is a news broadcast, and a bunch of the other recruits are out in like a lounge area watching it all in their night clothes. And seemingly they're like the 2 second years and first years, and in come their upperclassmen to come in and shoo them off. Get back to bed. You know, you got to get back to regiment and whatever. You know, you're going to get in trouble. Lights out.
Lights out. You guys, you first and second years have a lot of nerve breaking ranks like this. Get to bed. Shoo.
Karma becomes a man. Right. So they run them all off to bed. And of course, we find out that this is actually all the third years, which is Char's guys. So basically, everybody that was with them in the last episode is now they're getting the word out to everybody, going around knocking on doors. They're like, get your asses ready, but stay in your dorms. We'll come get you when it's time. And so clearly the plan that we talked about last time with the really nice 3D PowerPoint presentation is going through. And in this case, Char is basically going to go out first, and then Garma is going to lead everybody else. And then we go to the intro. Like, it was like a really quick little cold open.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it cold? By the way, guys, drinking a really nice Bourbon County coffee stout.
I'll probably really be drinking Dr. Pepper.
This is really good. So once we cut back from the intro, Garma is trying to get dressed and basically being so purple-haired, he can't get the top clasp fixed.
Yeah.
So he's like starts panicking. It's like, Char, I can't get this clasp to work.
Well, he was already panicking. He's so scared and nervous about what they're going to do, because it's not just it. I mean, Char makes a comment about how this is going to be just like the mock exam or the mock battle, except this is the mock battle, except with death and treason.
Yeah. Well, really treason, revolution. But basically, Char comes over and he's like, "Bitch, that's how a class works." And, we actually get a nice moment where they're like face to face, and then you actually get every time they show Char's eyes through his glasses, it's like a specific thing. They're like, he means it. Calm the fuck down. We got this. And then they get a knock at the door. And then basically, Zena puts her only skills of being a girl to good use. And then at that point, Char's like, you got this. I'm going to go get ready to head out and do my shit. Just like the mock battle. Don't fuck it up. Mock battle. Bye. But yeah, basically, he basically said to Zena, "Is like, look, I know this is gonna suck, but you're literally the only one who can do this. You know, are you okay with it?" And it's like, yeah, it's fine. I'll do what I got to do for the cause.
Yeah, she's like, I'd rather go out and battle with you guys, but if that's what you need me to do, this is what I'm going to do.
Yep.
And
Like
she
I
looks
said,
nervous too. If you
I
look
would
closely, she
be.
has because she's very stiff and she's got like a sweat drop going down her forehead.
Well, presumably they're 18 thereabouts because they're third years and they've been there since they were 15. So presumably he's 18 or 19 at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere thereabouts once again. And I guess this was the discussion we had last night, where we've been talking about how they never show us what's happening, what year it is. They never tell any of that. Apparently the OVAs did. Like at the beginning of every episode, the OVAs tell you the time of year, the year itself, stuff like that. This does not until something significantly changes, which I had skipped ahead a couple episodes to look for something. So I actually saw where they actually give a real date on screen with the year and everything, because it's a very special day in Xeon's history. Spoilers for the future.
Is it Garma's birthday?
Yes, it's Garma's birthday. Here, Garma. here's the world. But as Char is running down the stairs, he runs into his dumbass ex-roommate. He's like, Char. He's like, yes. Remember when I was asking you about that Luna Ball match and how we won and all that stuff? And he's like, you're gonna die. He's like, I was lying. That never happened. He's like, I know.
And he's like, I have written down. He's like, he's Char's giving him a look like, what the hell are you talking about? But meanwhile, in his head, he's going over all the ways to kill this guy.
Yeah.
It's like, I could just push you down the stairs right now.
I thought he was.
And I don't think
gonna,
anybody would miss you.
I legit thought he was gonna like snap his neck or something. But at this point, he's like, "Look, I'm not stupid. I know how to use Google.
Yeah, Space Google.
I know how to use Space Google, and basically, I found out that oops,
Edward Moss.
Edward Moss died in an explosion. He just happened to look exactly like you, except that he had blue eyes.
Like you have right now.
You've got blue eyes. Hmm.
And you know who also had blue eyes? Cosmo Tycoon.
I think this is the Batman problem. Like, how many people should have been able to easily figure out that Batman is Bruce Wayne? In this case, it's literally like Xeon themselves or the zombies literally didn't even put in the effort, because they know he was alive, but they didn't put two and two together that okay, he died in that he came down with a sudden case of explosions. So did they just wipe their hands? They're like, that's fucking done, and then never look at another blonde hair, blue eye again? You know, just like,
I mean, if you would if your assumption that he came down with a sudden case of explosion on a spaceship in the middle of space, killing everybody aboard that ship, then it's not too far beyond the realm of possibility to say that, you know, he's dead and gone for good. Let's worry about other things. So I give him a little bit of credit on that.
I think if Char had, or not Char, well, real Char, or wait, hold on, new Char. If new current Char had the time, he would have actually switched documents and been like, oh, I don't have a retinal disorder. It's, you know, the eye color, he was actually blue-eyed. Like, fix it. Say that Char Aznavour has blue eyes. Not, oh, my eyes were fucked up. They went from orangey brown, reddish to blue. Because even Dozel's like, he's got eye problems. Yeah, fuck it. He's really good. Fuck it. Um, but basically, he says, "Look, I know you're Casval. You've come back to take revenge on the Zabi family. You know, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna kill them all?" It's just like, we got other problems right now, dude. It's like, and then the whole time he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." It's like very convincingly be like, "What are you talking about?" You know, he's a
He does
great
get kind of a weird look when he first brings it up, but then after that, he's just
when he says his name, he
yeah,
literally he intensifies.
yeah. But though it's kind of it's almost like it's supposed to be a shocked look, but I think maybe the animators kind of messed up the expression or something.
I don't think it's
Especially
not.
since he quickly goes to, it's like I don't know what you're talking about, like
I think that
showing
was.
a legit confusion or
I
something.
think that was inner reaction.
Oh, so you think that's his
That's why it faded to
inner
black and all
monologue, for
that.
lack of a better term, but they,
Yeah,
for artistic purposes, they showed it on the outside.
that's why I
Okay.
did the fade thing and went to black. I think that's literally like in his own head. He's like, he knows who I am, and he worships me. For a second, he's like, yes, I am that. I am the person who said I would come back and make the zombies pay. And it's like there are people here who still know who I am and are awaiting my return. I think all
Mm-hmm.
of that flashed through his head in like 1 second. Like, forget if I think for a second he's like, okay, forget this plan. Maybe I should just do this. But no, you're too smart for that. But I did like the idea that so even though this guy, Lino, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I finally wrote down his name.
Yeah,
So I
same
like the
here.
fact, even though he's technically in the new Xeon army, or military force, whatever, he doesn't like the zombies. He's still a original Xeon supporter.
Yeah.
Still believes in what Dakin wanted. Um, so it's kind of interesting to think that he would turncoat against the people he's been training with, and probably even try to kill Garma or something if he had just said so. Um, so I think if they really wanted to like really screw with this alternate universe idea, that would have been like the turning point for him. He'd be like, okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna actually just take my rightful place. I think that would have been funny.
Mhm.
Um, but basically he just dismisses what he says. I don't know what you're talking about, whatever. And he's like, look, I know who you are, but look, your glasses aren't really doing anything to help you, and you can't really wear those. They keep calling it a visor. It's fucking sunglasses.
Yeah, it's got to be a Japanese thing or
Yeah.
something.
Don't drink the Munzo water. That's uh but yeah, they he basically said, hey, I made this for you. Yeah. And he pulls out what I thought was a jock strap or something, uh, but ends up being a modified Luna Ball headgear.
I want to
And
know what Luna Ball is.
we'll never find out. I want to see like in the background on a TV somewhere, like a Luna Ball championship match happening.
No,
I
right?
I assume it's probably a 0G type game, like we've seen in other sci-fi. Basically,
Probably something. It's probably
floating.
something like I'm imagining something like basketball, but with 0G or something.
That's what I'm thinking. But there's other say like Ender's Game, like the way that game they had, to get something maybe like that, but
Mm-hmm.
in my mind. But he basically gets the mask.
Well, a mask.
You know what I mean? Like he's really taking on the image of the Char we know, more or
It
less.
reminded me a lot of
I assume down the line he'll get the one that helps him focus the new type shit.
but it reminded me a lot of the scene in Batman Mask of the Phantasm
Yeah,
where Bruce puts on the mask for the first time.
yeah. Or like any Batman Year One kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it was like it was almost like this is a superhero story to some
Kind of,
degree.
right?
Well, the irony being it is an origin story. It's just told in a much longer timeline, but like we're seeing literally the rise of the hero of them. And it's just like it's so funny. He hands him. I mean, it looks so weird when he first hands it to him because like it's just floppy and all that. Because what's on his head, it appears to be made of metal or something, but clearly it's not. It's a lot softer. But I guess he modified it to give it a red tint or purplish tint so that his eyes didn't stand out as blue even through them. And also they won't fall off his face. And I think that was proven to him when the guy slapped his glasses off his face last episode. So he went, I can fix that. I have a Luna Ball mask with me for reasons.
And I think this version of the mask also kind of references there's like some early artwork of Char where like the shape of the eyes is more like this and red or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're kind of referencing some of these off-model things or something.
It's like a super 80s mecha design. Like you could transpose just that area of mask onto any G1 Transformer and it would just be their face.
Well, heck, it looks a lot like the eyes of the Gundam.
That too, which is ironic to some degree. But yeah, Jerry says always imagine like a space Hyli. Yeah, you're right. And in case you're wondering, Hyli is HAI-ALIA or AI at the end.
I have no idea what that means.
It's Hyli, in case you're wondering. Hyli is a really cool sport if you've never looked it up. Think handball, but like ridiculous.
Okay.
Like, far more ridiculous with like big curved hook thing on your arm and you're flinging the ball at like Mach 2.
Okay, I think I know of that. I've never like watched anything, but I think I've seen the equipment or something.
Yep.
That'd be cool too.
But I think at this point, so he puts it on and then he's like he kind of has the like how do I look moment.
Yeah.
And I think he even smiles.
They show him from behind and then cut to the front and you have like the light cross over the lenses and stuff. Very anime.
Yeah. And he's very happy. I was going to use that image in the thumbnail, but it cut off the top of his head and it just doesn't work. But at that point, basically, Lino going to die. We already know that this guy, as soon as he knew that Char wasn't Char, we knew he was just going to die. No, not
like I said, he's like, I'm planning all the ways to kill you right now, just so you know.
And he streamlined it. He's like, okay, I completely have your trust. I'm going to take it down. Sorry, I was going to look something up just real quick. But basically, he runs down to the thing, and we cut to Garma down in the, not barracks, but like a hangar kind of, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, hangar or motor pool or something like that.
Yeah, and I spelled it wrong. Okay, so Hyli, in case you're wondering, is JAIALAI, if you want to look that up. And yeah, it's really ridiculous. It is basically like handball, but they use the little wicker hook thing to fling the ball like insanely fast for anybody who wants to do it or look it up. And it's on a much bigger court. Handballs are usually pretty small court. No, lacrosse is very different. Yeah, I know. I thank you, pork flaps. Even though I just spelled it. Which is irony because of the lag. He probably caught me from the last time I spelled it incorrectly. So basically, Garma's giving a very nervous pep talk to these guys. He's like, look, it's going to be like the mock battle, but there's going to be real bullets, real consequences. Some of y'all are probably going to die. Not me, because I'm a zombie. So he'd say that out loud, but he's like sweating it. And then like he gets to the pause moment of his speech, and then everybody cheers, and he's like, okay, I don't have to be nervous anymore. They are on board. He even gives him an out.
I like how he kind of, it's almost like he has this moment like, crap, I just talked everybody out of this.
Yeah, he's like, but what's funny is for him, he didn't grow up with any kind of violence, really. You know, obviously set apart from the machinations of his older siblings and father and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And other than seeing people fighting on the news, he probably has no experience. And this is the major difference between him and Casval, who has been basically fighting for his own life for 8 years now, essentially. So it's like he's been through battles. He was already trained to fight to some degree. We know this, not to mention it's just natural abilities. And then now he's excelling at everything. He has no real fear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to be calm in the face of battle. You know, he's battle worn, and Garma has literally just been playing PS4 games. You
Yeah.
know, it's like he's somebody who's seen war on a TV, and Casval
Yeah.
someone who's lived through people trying to kill him.
Yeah, this relates a little bit to a line that happens towards the end of this episode, but in some ways, Garma makes me think of like Gohan from early Dragon Ball Z episodes, where
Yeah,
Chi Chi is always trying to get him to focus on his studies and stuff like that,
yeah,
and basically become a man of learning as opposed to a man of fighting.
true. He didn't want to follow in his father's footsteps. However, Garma was always going to have some type of military thing, but they kind of hoped he would never see battle. They really want a peaceful way
Quote
to
unquote.
get to their future. By peaceful, well, we'll get to that later. But speaking of Dragon Ball, Team 4-Star did put out a video explaining why Dragon Ball Z Abridged is gone. And actually, I believe it was yesterday, or maybe earlier today, Moscow X put out his thoughts on it.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, he played Goku and Gohan. And I thought Cell, but maybe Cell was somebody else. But either way, so as discovered last week when we discovered that Dragon Ball Z Abridged was canceled. So it's a sad day, but you know they're not done with the characters. They're just done doing it as a show. So they're probably still going to do things. If you guys don't watch it, Lanny Pator does game playthroughs as Vegeta, and it's
I
hilarious.
really hope he keeps those up because those are hilarious.
That's so. Him playing God of War was great. That was hilarious.
Him playing through Dragon Ball Kakarot was funny.
Oh God,
Though I
yes.
think my absolute favorite was they did a I think it was a multi-part one where he did a Stanley Parable.
Really?
And that one, particularly the ending of that, was just amazing because you kind of see Vegeta start becoming unhinged as he's watching it.
Yeah, that's true. And I think he actually did yeah, it's true. All zombies are willing to sacrifice any and all bodies in front of them, except for Garma's. Garma's body is apparently special, according to his dad. It was a little weird. That's a conversation for later.
That scene was
awkward. By the end of it, we'll get there.
That's literally the word I had written down.
Yeah, I literally wrote that. So,
but we're jumping ahead.
Yeah, we're jumping ahead. So we see Char in a motor pool. Basically, all the forerunners kind of, everybody else is behind him, but he's going out front, so he needs his troops and whatnot. And I love the fact that they're allowed to leave the base and nobody stops them even at the gate or anything. They're just whoop out the gate. And then I guess at some point they were kind of broadcasting Garma's speech because Char was hearing it in the vehicle. So I don't know how that worked out, but you know, it is what it is. But I love his quote here. He says, "That's the way, rich boy. You have to look strong."
Yeah.
Which I think is Garma in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
Not very strong, but able to look that way enough that people will follow him. And of course, at this point, we sort of see that Garma is given full credit for this plan.
Yeah.
Actually, by way of what happens next, which is Zena going to go do her part as we cut to Dozel, who's still up late for some reason.
It looks like he's like grading papers or going, well, like space school papers on the computer or something like that. He's looking through the computer in his like robe, and I think he has fuzzy slippers on or something like that. At the very
he's got a double robe. He's got the is it an ascot? I believe
yeah,
he's got an ascot on. Rich people night clothes, basically. And he's looking at papers and stuff, and he's even commenting on the fact that he should have been in bed already or something like that. And they knock at the door. Dozel, someone's here to see you. He's like, who the hell is here to see me so late? And they're like, it's a girl. He didn't actually say that, but you know, somebody who really needs to see you. Really.
And all through this, he's like, Why? I'm not the school counselor.
Yeah, I'm not a school counselor. Why would anybody need to come see me about something? Like a student specifically says that.
It's like,
He's
okay,
he's
send
basically
them
like
in.
he's what basically like the headmaster more or less for the academy.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, they refer to him specifically as the superintendent, which so basically he's
Superintendent.
in
Yeah.
charge of
He's in charge of all the
everything.
things. So Anthony is building, but he's listening, not chatting. Thank you. Oh, and Eric's here, by the way. So hi, Eric. I just saw him yesterday. So anyways, so Zena goes in and basically more awkward, being that basically she was sent there to distract and incapacitate. Probably whatever means necessary. So she basically he's like, I don't need help with my grades. I have no problem with the school. I'm just kind of here to
Take up your time.
get your attention, to talk to you.
And
To
she's
basically
not
take
like
up your
that.
time.
She's just standing stock
She's not trying to
still.
be sexy. Make no
And she's like,
thing. Yeah, she's nervous, but they're basically just to keep his attention so that he doesn't notice what he ends up noticing, because there's several large vehicles rolling by the building, and he's like, and so he's starting to go like, oh, cute girl came to talk to me in the middle of the night. This could go somewhere. Like he's like awkward about it, but then he starts thinking, huh. And so like he notices that, okay, big vehicles are rolling by, shakes everything.
he's like, what
I
the
don't know that.
hell is
He's
that?
like, what the hell is that?
He goes to the
Window.
window, looks out, and sees all these vehicles going by, and he's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Why is this happening now?
Yep. So he gets enraged, turns around, and she's like, Dozel, I can't let you do this, whatever. Pulls a gun on him.
Yeah.
Good for her. But
she came prepared.
He's what? 6'9", 7 foot almost. Something ridiculous. He's huge. He's got to be like 350 pounds. He's enormous. And she's like a teenage girl with a gun. It's like he survived an explosion at point blank range.
Yeah. He came down with a sudden case of explosion and survived.
No, he came down with sudden brother explosion. It's a relative disease. But it doesn't necessarily pass along the bloodline. So he charges her, slams her against the wall, holding the gun. I mean, seriously,
he slams her against the door.
The door, yeah. Did I say slams her against the gun?
No, you said wall.
Okay, but so like he's screaming in her face, who did this? Whose idea was this? And she's like, it was Garma. And he's like, Garma did this? Like just completely shocked. And he's like, well, you should be shocked because it's Garma. And then I think at that point it just cuts back to the cuts back to the battlefield.
Yeah, the cadets are now in position and they're ready to lay down mortar fire.
Yeah, so we see the armored vehicles pull up in a position on a hill, and basically what they did in the mock battle. It's kind of funny that they almost exactly trained them to do this thing to them. It's really kind of weird. So Char ends up grabbing. Wow, I said that fun. Char has his troops. He's got like what, 6 guys with him, if that. They all have jetpacks, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's so freaking cool the way they zoom out of the back of the APC.
Yeah,
I think the APC is still moving too, right?
Yeah, I think they bailed on it while it's still rolling. So he didn't have to be blown up and go on foot. True. But I like the idea that normally when you see jetpacks like this, they're in 0G or they're outside maneuvering in normal suits and stuff like that. They're actually in the colony doing this. So I don't know if they just were ever trained to do this. We never see that. So obviously they, at some point, were trained to use jetpacks because Char takes to it like they're his own legs. You know,
he is just flying around like he was born in the air, basically.
he pulls off a whole. He does like spinning kills.
Yeah.
Like he's doing corkscrews and just killing dudes down an alleyway as he flies by. Just like this is what he's like with his own hands, with a gun, with his own two eyes, without really having his new type powers enhanced or having a targeting system or anything like that in a mobile suit. And he is doing all the things. So he's got a machine gun. His guys have bazookas and other guns, and they are just basically cleaning the streets as they're approaching their target. So you got Garma laying down huge cover fire with mortars just raining down on the base, completely unexpected, because how they don't notice 20 cars, big heavy cars rolling at them. Because we already know this is
really
only
far away from the base, it looked like.
Yeah, probably. I think 200 meters. I forgot how far. No, that was the adjustment. I think 500 meters. So they're far enough that their mortars are getting there. They're like basically outside the base and they're going towards it. So the base is almost like a little mini city.
And in some ways, this is sort of showing that the Federation government and the military are kind of complacent.
Hold on.
What did somebody say? Char took to a jetpack like also to explosions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, Hida. She literally could have shot Dozel anywhere and his life wouldn't be at risk. He would just tank the bullet and just take her out. Not even the new Anaheim electronic cars have features that can take care of Dozel. Probably have to be shot by a tank in the face to probably die on his feet. But basically, with Char sweeping the grounds and them raining down mortar fire on them, there's not much they can do. You see the command guys who literally like just got out of bed trying to put their uniform back on. And they're like, get them out there, get the tanks out there, call command, we need backup.
There's another part. Just before that, you see some Federation soldiers. They're running out, getting their jackets on, grabbing the weapons. They start to leave the building, and they cut briefly to something, and I recognized it as a Claymore anti-personnel mod.
How did they plant Claymores?
They must have, when they were zipping around, they must have quickly placed those there and then zipped on to the next.
They got there ahead of time, so they were getting to what they said the garrison barracks, basically. So they planted Claymores out front to take out anybody coming out of the building. So it's nighttime. Half the troops are asleep. The other half are off at Zoom City killing people. So they're trying to stop these forces so that they have no resistance in the colony. And I guess the main reason they didn't want Dozel to get involved is because he knew they would stop him.
Basically they knew he would say no, and it would be a hard no because it's Dozel, and
it would be a giant no. big giant scarred face no. But basically I forgot to write that down. Yeah, you were right. I saw that. I was like, who put the Claymore there? And it's like, well, given the fact they're on jetpacks, they're literally like flying through. It would take nothing to set it and go. And frankly, when you've already seen the first few people run out of the building, come down with explosions, you don't follow out that door again. You don't know how much more that disease could spread. But realistically, at this point, they get pinned down by a Type 61 tank. So now we know what that is. It's Type 61. And so Charles like, okay. He's like, Lino, you're good at special vehicle training, right? And he's like, yeah, I could do it. And he's like, go take that tank.
Get us a tank.
Get us that. That's a tank. I want it. Is basically what he says. And frankly, these guys are so well trained. They take the tank like nothing. I think one guy died in the first barrage, and that was it. But Char and his other guys fly overhead. They lay down cover fire and smoke bombs. I'm sorry, this tank driver was an idiot.
Yeah, because
So
the smoke is coming over, and he's like, I can't see a thing. I'm gonna open my hatch and pop my head out with
yeah,
with all my vertical squishy bits and look around to see what's going on.
yeah,
Oh no, there's a screaming Xeon cadet flying my way, and okay, I'm gonna just go back down here, maybe where it's safe. And what's that?
and not close the hatch. It's like, hey, what's this canister? Bang!
Well, to be fair, I think Lino was holding on to
No, he
the
wasn't there yet.
hatch.
Dude just went in, and then Lino got there.
Okay.
Yeah, he got there, and the dude dove in as if that's going to do you any good. It's like, it's like the tank will protect me except for that big open hole. So it throws in a flashbang, takes care of that guy, and just hops in. I have a tank. I actually thought we might have like a recall of Casval's first go, like where he would have to take over a gun tank. But fortunately, there were no gun tanks in this situation.
Oh, and something that I think plays into what's going to happen is Char looks at Lino before he runs off and he says, I want you to get that tank.
Yeah.
Switch your radio to frequency 10 or whatever.
Yeah. I was getting there.
And then I will contact you.
Yeah. I will.
So when he goes over there, he switches his radio off from the frequency that everybody else is on.
Yep. So he can only talk directly to Char, but Char can hear, well, basically everything. And they fly away into the night, and then he turns the tank around, starts following them. Now, I didn't necessarily write down the exact next thing that happens, but we see the conclusion to Lino's Googling. Char tells his other rocket buddies, hey, there's a tank following us. I don't want it following me anymore. Go take care of it. I forgot what happened otherwise, but
they look to Char and it's like, where's Lino? And he just says,
oh, he didn't say anything. He died
like,
back there.
It's like an enemy tank is coming. That's all he says.
Yeah.
They come to conclusion.
They interpreted it as he died trying to take. Well, they knew that he was supposed to go take the tank.
Yeah.
They were there. So I guess, they assumed that he died trying to take the tank. Now the tank is following them.
And I just love this because he manipulates them.
Yeah.
Without, and technically he didn't lie.
No.
It's like, that is an enemy tank. It's just piloted by one of my buddies that you were just asking about. I'm not telling you any of that information.
Yeah. But here's the part where I thought, like, so basically they land in front of him. He stops the tank. And he's like, why are they targeting me? Casval, what's going on? What's going on? Like, just blatantly over the radio.
Yeah.
Yelling
over an open comm frequency that's probably not encrypted or anything like that.
Well, I think what he basically said is channel 10 was like a secure line, basically. Instead of an open line to all the troops that they were on before. That's why they were being able to relay what was happening and what they needed to do. But the fact that he wouldn't think to switch to the main radio line, because, why would he talk only to Char when he knows these guys are shooting at him? And basically, they just say, hey, we're going to do this. And because he's too dumb to even think that, oh, they're going to kill me. I'm in a tank. He did say he needed a gunner. So maybe he couldn't fire the guns while driving as well. Despite, I'm pretty sure there were triggers on those controls. Just going to leave that be. Because he could have easily just been jumped up there and just fired at his own guys. One way or the other, Char took the risk that somebody was going to die, but I guess he figured Lino was so dumb that he would just stay to that channel because he is very blindly following him now that he knows he's Casval.
Oh, yeah.
And then he comes down with a not so sudden case of explosions.
Multiple cases of explosions.
4. Technically 4. Four sudden explosion disease delivery rockets. So bye Lino. That's what you get for looking too closely.
Yeah, dumbass. And his last breath, he calls out for Casval, and then Char just says like, "I'm not Casval.
I'm not Casval.
I'm Char's novel." And I was like, "Oh, that's a good line."
I mean, almost. There's only one other person at this point that knows for a fact that he's Casval, and that's his sister.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, I guess Don Tiabolo is still around, but you know, he ain't doing nothing. There's basically
And
no one.
technically, as far as his sister knows,
He's dead.
dead. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, everybody thinks he's dead, but only two people in this known Earth sphere even know that he is who he is. So now the only person who could have ratted him out by, I don't know, calling him Casval in front of everybody,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting. So going back to the stairwell scene, he gives him the mask and he said, Char, you look great. He didn't say Casval in that moment. He said Char. But like, what had happened if, I don't know, anybody followed them into the stairwell to see
Yeah.
this exchange? What do? Go to the bathroom and hope that nobody's taking a dump? So it's just like, this guy wasn't smart. I mean, he's
No.
smart to some degree. He's smart enough. He could use Space Google, and then lie to get the proper answer that he needed. So, I mean, it's a thing, but now he died. But now we don't have a tank. So to me, I was just like, I wanted the tank.
You and your
like,
tanks.
well, to me, it would have been funnier to like have one of their own tanks run down their door, and then they have to surrender to one of their own tanks, which. Well, I think what was that in Captain America or something? I forgot what it's been done in movies and other sci-fi and stuff like that, where they have to surrender to one of their own things, or Return of the Jedi when they have to surrender to the ATST that's actually got Chewie in it.
Yeah.
But basically, from here on out, everything just goes their way. They make their way all the way to the command tower, which. Just being wrecked. They're watching all the little sections of their base turn red. Like, we're losing this. And it's like, what the hell? It's like they can't get any communications out. And then the power shuts off. And then it turns into a horror movie.
Yeah. The door opens up and you see the red emergency lights, and there's the silhouette of Char bathed in red light.
Yep. Yeah, of course. Of course. So bathed in red light. And yes, I did actually change the hue on the thumbnail so it matched the color of the explosion of the tank behind him. So
I thought that was very nice.
That was a very nice touch. I did that.
And I like how he brings up his weapon and he suggests that they surrender.
Suggest you surrender. And then they're like, okay. They're just like, at that point, they were literally like, we're dead. We've been beat. There's nothing else to do. Now, I assume that commander that he dealt with before was off at Zoom City.
Yeah, because we didn't see him, and I get the feeling that he's fairly high up in the
pretty good ranking,
pecking order of things.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just like they had to kill a lot of people to get there because they were a force of 200 going up against at least 2,000. And of course, useless pencil pushers in an office. But, you know, they caught them off guard in the middle of the night. They also weren't expecting the troops that they've been working with to turn on them because they weren't paying attention.
Pretty much, yeah.
And the fact that they literally lost almost this exact way yesterday. It's like,
these people who hate us and we're warning them not to rebel have rebelled against us, and I'm surprised.
No, who's doing this? Is it that other military we share this colony with? So they lose. It's over. And then I'm trying to remember, was it at this point we get some of the narration, or is it a little bit? Okay.
Yeah, we get a narrator basically explaining what just happened, and
and then the sun rises, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then he's talking. I forget if it was exactly here or a little bit because he narrates a couple times. But he mentioned the Dawn Rebellion.
Yeah.
So technically, it wasn't Dawn, pre-Dawn Rebellion. So the sun rises. The battle's over. We see Dozal running up to the battle now. Finally, I guess she let him out. or it was over that fast, one way or the other. It looks like it probably didn't take more than like an hour, if I had to
Yeah.
guess, because they really don't give you a sense of time. But small-ish base, they caught them way ahead of time. I'm amazed they got in that quickly on jetpacks, but it is what it is. Also, once again, it's not a long drive. These colonies are like 20 miles long, probably like here to here. It's like me driving down to Houston, basically, with no traffic. So, imagine 45 just being open. It's like wouldn't take very long to get down there.
I can't picture the impossible.
It's not even open in the middle of the night. It's ridiculous. 2 in the morning. There's a surprising amount of traffic, but Dozel shows up, yelling through the microphone. Jesus Christ! Not go. I know it's not going to hurt me, but it's in my face. It's like that big. It's a huge mosquito hawk. It was literally, you probably couldn't see it on camera, but it was literally like right here.
It looks like you're just freaking out.
Yeah, no, I guess that's the problem. They are so like spindly. It's a big one. I think there might be 2 of them in here. I know I saw one in the kitchen, but because I got all my lights on, it doesn't know where to go. It's kind of funny. Either way, sorry about that. But those rolls up on Garma, who's standing next to the thing, and of course he's getting the notification. It's all over. And Dozel rolls up. I guess he's just so elated and relieved to see Garma fine that he rolls up on, and then Garma's just like, I can sleep now.
Yeah, he looks like he's been just.
He looks like he's been drugged
up all night, running on like probably caffeine and adrenaline.
It was probably all adrenaline, realistically. Just the adrenaline, the endorphins, and just that rush of battle. And then once it's over, you just crash. But not to mention the fact that they had just done everything else the day before, and then they're doing it again that night. So they basically have gone through 2 battles.
The look that Garma gives, like just before he, that where his pupils are kind of small, and he kind of looks over. It's like, oh, Dozel's here. Hi.
Yeah. And then he goes. Then he goes full on princess, my hero's here moment.
And Dozel grabs him crying.
Oh my god! His reaction was ridiculous. I'm sorry. He's like, like he died.
I remember Dagwin like basically said like, don't forget, Garma's my favorite, and if anything happens to him, it's going to be your head.
Yeah, but he said that to Giram or Giran, not Dozel.
Was Dozel in the room when that happened?
No, it was only Giram.
Oh, okay.
Because he was like, what are they doing over there? Stop poking the bear. You need to quell this rebellion. That was all Giran. They were in the room alone together, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's just like, I don't think they would have time to be jumping back and forth between colonies, from the moment this started to this. So Dozel was here the whole time. Giran was not. He was playing politician, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dozel wasn't at the like independence, like the like Congress meeting. He wasn't at that. But I just found that funny. It's just like literally just passes the fuck out. Also, nobody else was around at that particular moment. But for those who like to hear what I actually write down, so this is my note for this moment. Dozel gets to the battlefield and catches Garma as he collapses. Dozel also cries like a bitch. And then Char likes red. So he's standing on top of the building he just conquered, and I guess due to the smoke and the sun rising, I don't know if it's legit. I know this is an open colony, but I don't know if this is like legit the sun rising or if it's an effect they have in the colony to simulate sunrise.
It's an effect they have, because it's a closed colony too, so they don't have.
Is that one closed?
Yeah, because they're on Guardian.
Oh, that's Guardian. Okay, I thought Guardian was an open one. I thought only Munzo was closed.
No, it looks like all the ones inside 3 are closed.
Okay, we'll have to check. We'll have to double check. But either way, so sunrise. He's on top of the building. Yay! And then he's like, that what exactly did he say? Not basically I like the color red, but it is a pretty color or something like that. Something to the
that
effect
line.
of
I should have wrote that
red.
down.
Red is a nice color, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah.
So, he's already been bathed in red one way. Now he's seeing this, all these things. He's basically going nuts, kind of at this point. In his own success. Dozel has probably used that line with each of his other kids repeatedly. Oh, he meant Degwin. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. That wasn't just my mistake. That's actually what he wrote. So basically, we get to the aftermath. The Federation clearly not happy with what just happened. They got their asses handed to them. So now we've got all the Xeon representatives sitting down with all the Federation representatives in this war room. And
you forgot the ticker tape parade.
I forgot about the parade. Sorry. You got the parade. They're all riding in the back of the cars. Hey, here's Garma, Char, and Zena. I guess Zena's the number 3.
I think because she has the
She's 2.
collar. She has the collar thing, so she's one of the commanders basically.
Yeah. So I think because Garma was number 1, Char's number 3, like they're the head of their dorm. I think she's number 2. Because remember when they said dorm 2 is with us as well? I believe Zena's the leader of dorm 2.
Okay.
So I think that's why. So they're all 3 leaders of the dorms. Either way, they're the 3 to focus on.
Yeah, and
then they're holding
them going there, and Garma stands up and waves, and he's got like a special
he's the
sash
princess.
He's the hero.
He's the princess.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's the princess.
Smile and wave.
And then they have all the pictures of the soldiers who died or the cadets who died along the way, because they're not soldiers yet. And of course they focus on Lino because, well, we all know what happened to him, and he has like ridiculous eyebrows. Seriously, that's the easiest way to spot him in any scene, his eyebrows. Because he was in the background in the vehicle with Char, and you could tell it was him, not just some brown-haired guy. You just see the eyebrows, and you're like, that's him. Because otherwise you didn't know that he would be on the same team, except for the fact that their squads were already set up, I guess. So ticker tape parade, all that. So now we have the meeting. I forgot to write that note down. Oh, well. And you've got the Federation guys basically giving shit to Dozel and Girin on the other side. And you've even got General, was it Revel? Revel.
Admiral Revel, I think, or something.
I think is it Admiral? I think he says General.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a general.
Okay. The ranks in the
ranks are strange.
And particularly in the Japanese, it's like in the Japanese, I think they use like army ranks or something like that, but in official translation, they sometimes switch them over to naval. Sometimes
it's that weird thing when you try to decide if your spaceships are going to be Navy based or Army based.
Yeah,
kind of a similar issue with Star Trek.
Pretty much, yeah.
Star Trek and Stargate were both odd about that because one was Air Force, but they also had spaceships, and therefore they started taking on more naval kind of weird things. And then Star Trek is Navy based to a degree. Either way, it doesn't
matter.
Then
there's Babylon 5, which had both somehow.
All of the above. It's just which is actually funny because Starfleet actually has like army type forces, not just ship based guys. Either way. So they have a little exchange back and forth, and I forget exactly what was said, but they're like, who would even have the balls to go up against us? And he's like, that was my little brother, and then even Cassilia gets to talk, which I thought was fun. Like, check, she says something. Because she wasn't even in like the last 2 episodes. So she basically is like, yeah, she's I forget exactly what she says. I just remember she said something, and I was like, oh, hey. And they didn't tell her to shut up or slap her in this scene.
I missed that part, I'm afraid. So
she said something.
Yeah.
She said something. I don't 100%. It doesn't matter. It wasn't that important because then the doors open and Big Daddy walks in. I'm going to refer to him as Big Daddy from now on. He was
I have the
asshole.
line written down here. Everyone is all gangster until Degwin walks in.
Literally, like both sides are talking so much shit to each other, and literally, like war about to break out in this room. Degwin walks in, everybody shuts up and stands at attention. It's like,
yeah,
damn,
both sides,
like not even like the zombies stayed seated. I was just like, because they both knew, they're like, the Federation has had an arduous relationship with them regardless, but he does work with them because he doesn't want all-out war. He wants he wants a peaceful resolution to this. He would rather have sudden explosion disease happen to everyone rather than thousands of people out there shooting at each other and people that he's over dying that aren't his own children. He's okay with that part. Because he's space Tywin. So he comes in, and I love how they really accentuate the sound of his cane hitting the floor.
Oh yeah, the sound design in that is just so amazing because
it's ding every time.
It's not even like the usual sound that you would hear for a cane. It's a very kind of sharp metallic
because he's got a big golden tip on the end of it.
Yeah, and you can tell
he's got the eagle head.
And you can tell that by the sound that it's like it ends at a very narrow tip too.
Yeah, it's super pointy and like he's putting it down with some force.
Oh yeah,
because like it's almost like a judge's gavel.
Mm-hmm.
And so he walks in, basically says, "All right, look, the kid screwed up. Sorry, we'll mop it up. It'll be okay. We don't want this to go any further. There's not treason. It's not treason. It's rebellion. It's not treason. We don't have to respect your laws, so it's not treason. We're our own country, fuckers. But Dozel, he's fucked.
Yeah, that's all his fault.
They literally just kind of say he's in
charge.
He's like, he should have done something about it.
Perhaps there's someone more appropriate to take the blame than Garma. Camera pans over to Dozel.
Yeah.
And then he's like, wait, what?
Because I mean, I don't know exactly what they wanted to do to Garma other than maybe throw his ass in jail, which is not going to happen because apparently they have a lot of money invested in Garma. If I had to assume.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is like their chosen one. Obviously, you will know more than I know, but as we'll see in the next scene after this, he is literally like their golden child. And I do believe they even didn't they comment at some point about how like he likes Garma more than everybody else? I think they said that more or less in this episode. But basically the resolution was, look, I'll deal with this. We're going to take care of this. It isn't going to happen again. But y'all need to get GTFO.
Yeah, that's actually what I have written down. It's like He says he would love to forge a new relationship with the Federation. They just need to GTFO and everything will be fine.
Yeah. We'll have a great relationship as soon as y'all leave.
You guys need to go.
I have cane and sunglasses. You have to listen.
He's right. He has the cane and sunglasses. We have to listen.
We do have to listen.
We don't have. Do you have sunglasses? Check your pockets. No.
Well, so far, only 2 people do. They aren't like some kind of special forces guys or like Secret Service guys. They have sunglasses, but also they might explode at any moment. We know that Degwin is explosion proof. He's the only one with sudden explosion disease vaccinations so far. Sudden bullet to the head.
He just forgets to take his booster later on, but that's
sudden bullet to the head disease. Maybe not. Sudden colony explodes around his face. That's not in his ability to defend because we can't all be have the vaccination for super measles. But basically, we'll have peace as soon as y'all peace the fuck out. That's It's like I kind of want that. I say this every week. Here's the shirt for this week. His face on there with his shit-eating grin. It says, "We will have peace as soon as y'all peace the fuck out." With a big Xeon emblem behind his head. Once again, someone make it happen and put it in the Shoki store. I'm gonna have to, like, at the end of this review series, I'm gonna have to put up every shirt idea that I've come with, because every week we come up with a shirt idea and nobody makes it happen. If only I had a design guy on retainer. If only my design guy had
I'm not even on
desk
retainer.
kind of on
That
retainer.
imply that you pay me.
Sometimes you just do things for free because you get a wild hair up your ass. Go get the hashtag nub shaming shirt, guys. I think Joey did buy one, so Joey did finally get his hashtag nub shaming shirt. In like 3 weeks, he'll have it, but he did finally order it. So basically, we go back to the zombie castle. Everybody's bitching at Dozel, and then it's just like, y'all need to shut the fuck up. Don't let this shit happen. I told you not to do this. All the same shit. Daddy's literally, he does the cane thing. He bangs it on the ground, and then he points it. He points the fucking cane.
And Dozel is terrified.
He really
is like bent over backwards, pushed up against the door, and just shaking.
He's really scared.
Very hilarious.
Because that's gonna have to be a big explosion. Like mobile suit size explosion to take care of Dozel. So in the middle of all this, there's a knock at the door, and in walks the golden child with a giant bouquet of flowers in his
He
sack.
Still has ticker tape in his hair from the parade.
So now he's not just a princess. He has now become Miss Xeon. All he needed was a tiara, and it would have been over. Because literally, he's got the flowers that are so massive they're draped over, and he's like, "Oh, am I interrupting anything?"
And he's like,
"Yeah."
Dad looks like he's in a bad mood. Should I not have done this?
Literally,
in this very placid, almost submissive tone.
I think it was also a no fucks given situation, because he's being celebrated as a hero for what they just did, but doesn't understand the political ramifications of what he just did, because he doesn't know at this point that his brother has to take the blame for it. I mean,
so he's not giving any fucks, but that's mainly because he doesn't realize fucks are supposed to be given at this point.
Yeah, that's true. But it's funny that he went from totally terrified, couldn't even button his own fucking flak vest, to I am the hero. Why is Dad mad? So it's just like he just turned in like a really good report, but then he didn't realize that he had to kill 7 other students on his way to make the report happen. And I mean, like I'm glad that he got some balls, considering how scared he was. And he needed that kick. He needed that sense of pride, which he did. He had the inflated sense of pride until he decided to hook up with Char. Not in that way, but that's the whole reason. That's why he moved in. But that's why he moved in with Char. You're not a yes man. You challenge me, and so he did make him better, even though he did have to scare the shit out of him to do it.
Because that's one of the things we talked about last time, was that they very could easily have made him just be this, prissy rich boy that is only riding on his good looks and family name and money. But actually, he is pretty darn good at his stuff. It's just Char happens to be better.
Well, Char's better at the idea and the execution. Garma is great at being the figurehead leader. So Char gave him all the tools, Garma just had to learn how to use all the tools he was given.
And he did a good job
And he
during
did a good job.
the
He really did. He did command his guys the way he needed to, but
and
Char had
under
to
his
get him
command,
there.
they
Yeah.
won.
Well, the question is, other than just raining hellfire on everybody, would they have won without Char's go ahead? Without his, it was his planning, his idea, his command to
True.
Garma to make it happen. Garma had the follow through once he basically got the self-esteem boost he needed from everybody actually willing to follow him. It was one thing to have it happen in the mock battle when the stakes weren't 100% real, but then he also had the balls to stand up in front of everybody and basically bitch slap that commander and say, look, you're in the wrong. You need to pick up his glasses. He
Mm-hmm.
almost didn't have the balls to do that. Mind you, he was using the power of his family name to do that, but I think that guy bowed to the fact that if I don't do this, he's going to tell Degwin that I did this.
Well,
You
and it's
know?
not just that when he spoke up to do
And
that,
yeah,
then suddenly everybody, every last one of those cadets was shouting out, "Pick up the visor! It's not against regulations."
actually, they were yelling before that, but yes,
Yeah.
he had the support and just stood out as class leader, basically.
Hmm.
Char's extracurricular tutoring service. That's funny. Um, but yeah, so basically at this point, Big Daddy takes Garma into the other room, and I don't even know how to describe this scene.
It's
It's
touching in a way, but it feels really awkward.
it's sweet. It is actually a really sweet moment between a father and the child he loves. But there's also some child worship there, and that's more of a modern age type thing. Which I don't want to totally get into that, but literally he worships Garma, his existence. He would do anything for Garma. He will eliminate the rest of his own children for Garma.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason. Even saying that your body is important to the people, which I don't know what that
That's
means.
got to be a translation thing or something.
That could be a translation thing, but that's where it also makes me wonder. It's like, why are they putting so much into him? Like, I don't know if there was ever any experimentation on Garma to try to make him like well, he never was a new type, right?
He
Yeah.
did, to be honest, he didn't stick around super long.
Yeah.
Because his appearance and
Subsequent
spoilers
death.
for an old
He dies. Go figure.
And death happened before they really started talking about new types. There had been a couple of rumblings about espers and stuff like that, but the term new type hadn't even been used yet.
But it has been used now. It has been used in Origin.
Oh yeah, I mean it's been retroactively added into the canon, but the concept of new type didn't really get fleshed out until like just before like the halfway mark, and even then they were still adding on to it as they went on.
Yeah,
so
and obviously it's evolved.
Garma never really showed any signs of being a new type, but that's partly because not even Char was necessarily showing signs of being a new type.
Yeah, it's only now watching it in retrospect that we know that he is, and that's why he's exceptional at everything. But the reason I feel like the reason he dotes on Garma more and actually really values him more, and like I said, he's acting like he legit has money invested in Garma or something. So part of me wonders, and I don't know that this will ever be confirmed, did they do any kind of like modification?
That's more of a Federation thing. Cyber new types were Fedi creations, not Xeon. Xeon had the Flanagan Institute, where they did research and I suppose a little bit of experimentation on
but
new types, because there was
but
like those kids from the mess team
yeah,
in the very last
but
episode.
but you kind of get my point though. Like he's putting a whole lot of
It's
importance on Garma and him being the future, and they
especially knowing what we do about the zombies, about how they are a bloodthirsty, despotic, fascist
yeah
people. To see them see Big Daddy
yeah there
fascist
you go there you go
be so doting to his son and have this tender moment, it feels
after
wrong.
after
It,
the
oh
rage
yeah,
he just had. So that's where I'm getting at. I was like, why is Garma that important? But that's what I'm saying is like, okay, so they know the in this version of UC in this universe, they have the idea of new types already because Dakin talked about it. It was in his writings, in his preaching, talking
oh
about the
yeah,
evolution of humanity, space noids potentially becoming new types, whatever that might be. They had the idea that this time and space, the technology we're with, all the things that we go through that the Earthnoids don't, we could evolve into something new.
yeah. Well,
So
and even in the main UC line, while the concept of new type came about later in the series for First Gundam,
at least as a
it was
title,
retroactively added in to have been thought about even beforehand. In Unicorn,
yeah,
the big secret behind Lapis Box was that the original
all the
constitution
way
of
back
the
a
government.
hundred years ago, they talked about the appearance of new types.
Nice. I
It,
can't remember if they used the exact term "new type" or something like that, but it was something about like,
it
and
was
if
if any new type of life form
evolves,
arises, there wasn't
then
one
they should be
conjoined
given.
word. Is
Yeah,
new
it's like,
type of human.
and they should be given like prominence
Equal
and
rights and all these
yeah,
things, not treated as things. But that was also kind of saying that also space noids always should have been treated as equals, not as
oh yeah,
secondary slaves. But it was just the idea that yeah, they can retcon these things. Um, but that's where I think that if somebody who knew of the new type concept was close to Dakin, had the means and the power to, I don't know, subtly influence the genes of their child. Like, I don't know how Dakin can have like one of the most powerful new types ever, coincidentally, after talking about it before his child was even born. Hmm. Um, even though cyber new types are a thing, obviously in this universe, there's nothing to say that the earliest new types weren't CRISPR'd. They didn't find a way to genetically alter these kids to make their ideas of new type happen. You know, so maybe Garma was also. Is it a coincidence they're the same age? One is exceptional, one's good, but definitely not a standout. And the fact that Big Daddy worships him this much and really is pinning the whole future of his family on this kid who is not
yeah.
shown in any way to be super exceptional and 100% different than his other offspring that are all much older. Like, so I
Much
mean, like,
older, much more ready, and perhaps overwilling to assume ascend to power.
okay, so Androia says Garma is just Degwin's golden child that he loves so much. Degwin probably had so much planned for him to the point where he would supposedly lead the zombie family after Degwin's death. I mean, sure, but without being like, at least we're not seeing a lot of his upbringing, other than being doted upon, which we know has happened his entire life. He's
Yeah,
was super entitled, super worshipped by anybody who knew his name. It wasn't until Char came around that he decided he could stand on his own 2 feet and be a real person and not just be the young Zabi and future head of the family.
yeah. Well, and like
You know,
in Gundam and First Gundam, I think he's effectively. I don't know if he's given control of all of Earth, basically,
mm-hmm.
but he's basically in control of most of North America at the very least because he's stationed out of what's left of New York City. or New York as
New
the
York.
as it's spelled on the sign that you see
Yeah.
in first Gundam.
Okay, so he says they're new types, not coordinators. Yes, but the first coordinator was also not quite natural in his own right. So even with Seed, coordinators were eventually born, but they could also alter them however they wanted to on a genetic level.
Yeah,
So
because
why
George
not?
Glenn was the first one, if I remember correctly. I
It's
remember
weird that
looking
you
this up.
remembered that.
I
But yeah,
only
he
because
was.
I was talking about this with my son like a few weeks ago, so I remember
That's
that I was looking that up.
that's actually funny. So, but in that case, a super exceptional physical and mental specimen arises out of nowhere.
Well, and I think he was modified too,
That's what
and
I'm
that was
getting at.
part of his.
He wasn't 100% natural. He was also genetically boosted to some degree, but he wasn't like the coordinators of like modern day where they were really tweaking things. But that was the idea. We have CRISPR. We haven't mastered it, but in the near future, we literally could do these things with the exception of new
Mhm.
type magic. So, really, if they have the concept of new types in their head, they have the technology to start genetically modifying people, and the most rich and powerful family wanted to, why not? Make it happen. Unfortunately, Dakin wasn't around to see it actually come to fruition, but Degwin is there for some of it. So that's all I'm saying. As a theory, I think it makes a lot of sense, except for the fact he was looking at the wrong child. If he really does think that Garma is like modified and is going to be a new type, I mean, look at Dozel. Dozel's the second youngest, right? He's the one before.
I don't know the exact order, to be
I
honest.
believe Giram's got to be the oldest son. I think Caecilius probably right behind. It's almost like they're ranked the way they were born, and then
Makes sense.
the one that died, the one that came down with explosions.
Soros or something like
Yeah,
that.
Sasro.
Sasro.
Sasro, I think, was older than Dozel. So I think he was between them. I think he was like in the middle. Um, I think that given the massive age gap, but also the idea, look at Dozel compared to his siblings. He's huge. He also has different temperament, so maybe there was some modification happening there as well, but that was just they wanted to create a more physical specimen, and it's just you don't know. It's like if
Yeah.
you're rich and powerful and you want to create human super soldiers, why not start with your own kids?
And there's not a lot written about the zombies from
History,
before
family.
any of this stuff. Like I was curious about what the heck was Dagon's wife like, and I looked up her article on the Gundam wiki, and
Yeah,
it's like this long, and basically just says this is such and such zombie. She was Dagon's wife and mother to these characters.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Nothing else.
There's not
But
even a
also,
picture.
but you got to consider the fact, at least on Dakin's side, his first wife couldn't have kids, and then he just ended up with Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, but they had two kids. But what are the odds that he didn't play around with their genes? I mean, it's entirely possible that some new types are 100%. They just happen.
Well,
Give yeah,
Xeon's idea was that it was supposed to be a natural evolution that
yeah,
came about because of
being in space and all the other
being in
things.
space. Because it's like when talking about how like when mankind started standing up and observing the world, that's when those senses came about. So when we
Yeah,
start exploring the universe, that's when other senses will awaken.
yeah,
Yada
makes sense.
yada.
Okay, so Jerry says it's Giran, Sasro, Dozel, Cassilia, Garma. So Cassilia's younger than Dozel.
Okay,
Um,
I'd
but
buy that.
yeah, I could buy that too. I feel like they really didn't want her. By the way they treat her, I assume he just wanted all sons. That's the way it seemed, doesn't it? It's just like they
Yeah,
hate her.
she's treated very. What's funny is I was about to
She
make a
hasn't
comment about like
exploded yet.
she hasn't. Give her time.
I know. They all explode eventually.
But
Um,
it's like you could almost say she's treated like the redheaded stepchild, and she is technically redheaded.
yeah. So yeah, it's entirely possible, and I'm not. And there's also the possibility there were multiple mothers, but they all look different,
Yeah,
So,
and
but
I
I
want to say
believe the
there's
last
maybe
three, except for
something
Caecilian,
about maybe he was about Dagwin being married multiple
multiple
times or something
times.
like that.
Yeah, I think we
But
mentioned that a while back. But
but
once
again,
again, his
there's not a
wives
lot
are
of
not
information.
around. There's their mothers. Who knows?
Disney.
But we already see that Giran is super intelligent. You know, it's like basically they all have fairly well exceptional skills in something, and Garma has like a very balanced skill set,
Yeah.
but he's not exceptional in any particular way. He's smart, that's for sure. But I'm just saying that it's entirely possible that these new types are so valuable because they literally put time and effort into them.
Hmm.
Um, so it's and maybe that he wasn't around long enough to truly be explored in that way as a character. Obviously, if he came down with explosions, as well. Does it run in the family? Is it a genetic disease? Uh, or as I said, it's all relative. It's a relative disease. But either way,
A lot of them are connected to one person.
yeah, exactly. So basically, after this, Dozel's back in his office. It's like his last day on the job. He's being fired. Oh no, he's got to go elsewhere because he's only basically there because Garma was there. Um, I think he even says at one point, "I put you in charge of that place so you could keep an eye on Garma."
Hmm.
Uh, and he's talking to Char, and he basically says, "You were exceptional, but because of all this stuff that went down, and I'm pretty sure you're the one who pushed Garma into doing this. Obviously, everybody's got to go."
Yeah.
Um, and he says is like, "Okay, I'm probably going to go back to Earth for a while," or he doesn't say back to Earth. I'm going to go to Earth. Obviously, he doesn't want to give away that he was on Earth because Char wasn't, as far as we know. Um, And he's like, okay, that's fine. And then he's like, hey, by the way, if y'all need me to come back,
I want to pilot
because I'm
mobile
a
suit.
super soldier, can I be in the mobile suit program? And Dills is like,
He's like, well,
really?
somebody blabbed.
No, he said Garma opened
Yeah.
his mouth. Yeah, so Garma we already know Garma told him what a mobile suit was.
Yeah.
Which at this point, Federation completely completely clueless, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. That's what Dozel was doing when he got interrupted by Zena. He was looking at reactor and WAF plans.
That's right, because it
He
was
had
like the
them
same
printed
little
out.
it was the same little schematic display that we saw in the previous episode when Minosky was talking. I
Yeah.
want to say.
Okay, so Degwin had multiple wives, just like Katra's father from Gundam Wing. Yeah. She changes her. Yeah, Caecilia changes her look a lot, which we see next episode. Actually, I started watching the next episode just to see what was going on. In case this wasn't dense enough, I started watching the next episode. The engineered new types are all batshit crazy. So yeah, they all kind of go nuts at some point, depending on the generation. Plu 12 is actually pretty stable, in my opinion, but that's way down the line. That's also a
Is that the one
cloned
from?
cyber new type.
Was she the one that piloted the Kshatriya?
Banshee, yeah, Kshatriya and Banshee, yeah.
Okay.
Not Merida. What was her name in that? I think it was Merida or something.
I
Like
can't remember. What's funny is I didn't put two and two together that she was part of the same line as Putter or whatever she called herself.
That's
from
Plu.
Zeta, from Double
Yeah.
Zeta.
Yeah, that's
I didn't
the same.
realize
It's a different way of saying the name
until like somebody posted a picture from like Super Robot Wars where the two are interacting. I'm like, how did I not know that?
Well, they specifically say she's the 12th clone of that girl. So it's
I hadn't watched
you
Double
weren't
Zeta
watching.
at the time, so I didn't put it together.
Oh, well, I haven't seen those either, but I know that she's clearly another clone of the same line. They just kept cloning the poor girl over and over because she was a cyber new type. But anyways, Char leaves. But after that, right after he leaves, in walks Xena, who's also getting dismissed because she was part of the thing. But they were third year anyway, so I guess they were close to graduating as it was. Because they already said the mock battle was like their graduation type thing. They would receive their assignments after that anyways. So it just seems like
right, yeah.
So that was like their graduation exam was to start the rebellion. So yeah. Merida Cruz, yeah, exactly. I thought it was Merida. Pixar character. She ends up in. Ooh, wait a minute. Pixar universe tied to the UC. New type magic is in fact just magic. Okay, so I was all Game of Thrones about it. Now I'm going to see if I could fit UC into the Pixar timeline. It's like it happened after they came back to Earth. Wait, Earth got so polluted that humanity had to leave. And then
they did it again.
And they did it again. Anyways, so she comes in. She thinks she's in trouble. Dozel's yelling, but then he's not yelling. Then he calms the fuck down.
Oh,
this whole exchange was crazy.
It was the scene where he said she comes in and there's the two guards and he just goes, "Well, you two give us the room." And they quickly leave, and everything feels like it's something out of like a Studio Ghibli film. Just the way it's animated and the reactions and stuff like that. There's even a little puff of smoke as the door quickly closes behind her.
Oh, that was funny. They closed the door in such a hurry, like her clothes like ruffle.
Yeah.
And she's literally like, because she's standing as close to the door as she can, because once again, she pulled a gun on this guy.
She's not expecting to leave here alive.
No. She's like, I pulled a gun on a Zabi family member. I'm probably going to die.
I'm probably going to come down with a case of explosion.
I've got a Zabi in my boot. That's funny. And then I guess for anybody who has seen everything else knows where this goes. But for me, watching these things for the first time, he just straight up proposes to her. But not even like in a marriage way. He literally says, "Will you have my children?" I was like, okay, she's like 19. You're clearly at least in your 30s, maybe older. Who knows?
Yeah.
Either way, because of how she stood up to him, I guess he just fell for her because there's no prior anything to this happening.
Yeah, because even when she was there, he wasn't in the previous scene with the two together. He wasn't reacting in a romantic way. He didn't like try to straighten himself or up or anything like that.
I forgot about that. He fixes his hair.
He fixes, yeah, but so he had no interest in her before, but now when they say that she's coming in, he quickly fixes up his hair and tries to sit up straight and stuff like that as she comes in, and then he demands the room from them because he wants to be alone with her.
And I love the fact they did the thing where his hair pops right back to the way it was.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was funny. Very Studio Ghibli, the way you said. Oh, and he said to Xeon and beyond. He's connecting Pixar stuff. Zabi. No. No, I can't do that to Wally because I don't want him to explode. Now I'm just thinking of Wally in green with a Xeon emblem on the side.
Wally in red. Come on now.
No, he would not be. No, Eva would be red because she can zip around.
True.
Damn it. Stop giving me these ideas. Because whenever they actually get to that line in the Figure-Eyes line, which they 100% will, mark my words, we will see Cinema Rise Wally and Eve figures probably next year, if I had to guess.
I would not be surprised considering like they're doing Toy Story stuff right now, right?
Yeah.
The next popular thing would be it would either be Cars or Wally. And I get the feeling that Wally's probably more popular in Japan.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't think they would do cars because that'd be too easy unless they actually did like inner chassis and stuff. And I don't think that's
Which would
something
be
like
kind of cool to see them do, but I'd much rather see.
they're too simple. I think they wouldn't bother. But I think Wally or other Toy Stories, maybe given that it is like the figurized line, they could do Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc.
Just not real fur, obviously, but they could do something. But I guarantee you we'll get a Wally and an Eva in that line eventually. So we already have the Disney connection through Bandai, so it's just a matter of time. Disney, Pixar, all that crap crossover stuff. Either way, we still haven't finished this episode. We got to get there. So you get the indecent proposal, and she's basically like, "Okay, if I say no, I explode, right?" And then she's like, "Okay, fine." It's like, keeps me from dying, and I probably won't have to worry about anything. So I guess she gives in.
She does smile a little bit though, so there's
She smiles in that way that a girl knows that she might die if she says no. Smile. But he does say it so sweetly, like he was being super genuine and heartfelt, and like that meant something to her. Obviously, I
yeah, because he
assume
didn't yell that part if I remember correctly.
no, he was just
He
talking
was very he was
vulnerable.
calm, kind of stumbling over his words too, if I remember correctly.
He was, and he was super vulnerable, and it was just funny because you see like this very angry commander type Dozel. You also see the when he's interacting with Rawl version, very straightforward but also respectful. And then with her, he has completely let his guard down and all this stuff. And it's just like, okay, then. Really weird way he went about this, but it is what it is. And then we see basically the episode kind of ends on Char hopping on a plane that hopefully won't explode. And he has a very interesting outfit on.
He's got new glasses too.
He's got new glasses, which I thought was
It
interesting.
actually is a visor now.
It is more of a visor. It definitely don't do that. It reminded me a little bit more of his future secondary persona to some degree.
Quattro.
He looks a lot like Quattro to some degree without the 80s hair. Like he's like 19 early like late 70s Quattro, not quite 80s Quattro. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
given the timeline, totally makes sense. I want to know what the aught 20s look like in this universe. Like, just I want to know if it was anything like the 1920s. It's like, what in this universe? What year is it technically given? Like with our own timeline, what is the time difference?
I don't know if there's an official thing for it because, like, I think they shifted around sometimes because I think initially, like Universal Colony year 0.
Yeah, that's when it started. When they started into that, yeah,
was like in the 90s or something like that.
I want to find out, but I'm assuming that there will be somebody in the comments who'll tell me. You know what's weird is that while we get a lot of people in the chat, we never get comments on these videos later. I find that interesting.
Now,
which, by the way,
did you see the bit after the credits?
Of course. I looked at the time and I went, there's still like 5 minutes left, and we haven't even got to the outro. The outro's 2.5 minutes at least. So we hit. I love it. Literally ends as the ship leaves, and I actually went, "Oh crap! Does it explode?" I'm like, "No, never mind. He's in the future. We know he won't explode." I was like, I'm just so used to a ship leaving dock and exploding at this point. And you actually see a lot of people trying to leave the colonies.
Yeah, because they all know
crowds.
Stuff is about to go down.
Yeah, they really want out because they know that basically everything. But part of me wondered if any of them are Federation citizens who are visiting the colonies and they're like, we got to get the fuck out. Or if they're space noids trying to leave this colony due to what has happened.
It's probably a combination of things.
Yeah, because I assume that there's still it's a spatial bias. It's not a racial bias. It's a spatial bias against space noids. It took me a minute. I was like, what is that exactly? Because they're still humans, but they do have the you're from space, I'm from Earth. fuck you situation. And the idea that the colonies are trying to become independent due to the oppression of the Federation, which we really only seem to see in side 3. We're not really seeing any of that in the other sides yet. And obviously where the Zabi family is they're more of the ones who kind of have kicked all this off. Probably where the more troublesome people have ended up by chance. They're like Space Australia. It's what it seems like. UC was envisioned that after AD 97 or something, stories made back in 79. No, I understand that part. But like, say like 00 is taking place in like the year 23 something. You know, they're basically in the 22nd or 23rd century, because when Aeolia Schimberg came up with his ideas in the like late 2000s, and then we're like 200 some odd years in the future of that. So, you know, that's kind of my point. Like there you get to see the actual time progress. And I think even in Wing, they sort of also make that differential to some degree. But they also have after colony timeline and stuff like that. But yeah, the post-credit scene, as it were, we go back to Amuro, because in an episode or two, we're going to be all about Amuro.
We see Amuro and his father, Tim.
Yeah, Amuro and his father, who apparently have been on the longest space flight ever. Think about this. They left Earth the same time Char did. They're only just now heading to Side 7. So the question is this just we should have shown this 2 episodes ago? Or did they spend time on a different colony? Like they were on Luna or something? Because they talk about going to Luna 2. Oh, they point out Luna 2. I'm sorry.
They could have been on Anaheim Electronics. Anaheim Electronics has operations base in Granada on the moon.
Yes.
So they could have been spending some time.
That comes up next episode and the episode after.
Okay, so they could have spent some time on the moon, and then are moving over to the new facilities that are being made in Side 7, right?
Yes. So where they're going, we passed by Luna 2, which was a resource satellite. He actually mentions, you know, they pulled these satellites out. They were at a Lagrange point, but they pulled them back in and used
they even mentioned what that one was originally, and I didn't write that down, but I remember that from my first
I forget what they gave the actual name of the asteroid.
Juno or something, was it?
I think it was Juno. And he said, well, that's not important. He literally says, I just told you all that. Don't worry about it.
That's for the viewers at home.
That's for everybody else to know. Yeah, that's for them. He points off in the direction. It's for them. And then they end up at Side 7. You see the check-in, and I really like this idea. So it's for people who first get to a colony. They have to go through the elevator to get to from the dock to the loading level. We see them go through customs. He has his ID scanned. You see all of his info on the screen, which is pretty cool if you want to go back and actually see that.
He also states that his age is 13 years old.
Yes, so he's 13. So we already know he's younger than Char. And so they load out in the colony, but they're in the elevator with everybody else who's coming in. And Side 7 is still so new. There's almost no one living there. They're still building it. Even mentioned that. So you actually see like the thing that moves and builds the thing as it goes.
Yeah. Like in a unicorn, wasn't it?
Like a Shodan unicorn, exactly. And it shows that you see the gravity changing on the thing on the elevator. So it's going up till it gets to 0.9 gravity. So it's just under 1G. And it's just like, that actually makes sense, because when you're at the core and at the dock, it's 0. You would float.
Yeah, because we were talking about that
too. We talked about the way they work. Yeah. So at the center, there's nothing. You would just be floating. Especially on the outside of the core where there's no rotation. But as you get to the outside and you start experiencing the rotation, you would get that nearly 1G. So they even say, you know, you should be feeling the effects of the simulated gravity. And when the doors open, there'll be a bit of a breeze from the pressure differential. So from there to there, there's a pressure differential. And I like that they included that scene. So it's
nice
pretty cool.
little bit of real science to kind of toss in there.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Because there's a lot of stuff that's really based on actual science. Or at least what they thought real science would be in the 70s.
Yeah.
And then, of course, updated over time. But so they get out there, they walk out, and you get to see the side being constructed. You got dirt and buildings being constructed and all the stuff, the big open canopy and all that. It was pretty cool. I like that. And then that's kind of where it ends.
It's something that I noticed. I may be misremembering things, but I swear the spot where Armoro walks out and looks at the colony being made, I want to say we see almost that exact same area in Unicorn. Because I think they step out. There's a scene in the first episode movie OVA thing, where they're going back to the docking bay area or something like that, and that's when Menager goes. I think I see somebody falling or something like that, and then goes off.
When he sees Audrey falling from the top thing. Well, it would be. I don't.
And so it looks. I feel like that area feels like the same kind of area, which would make sense because they're both designed the same way.
I don't think so, because Menager was at like the core construction, which is why he can jump in the little mobile worker thing in the 0G. So she was falling from, I forget wherever she was. I haven't seen Unicorn in a little while, but she was in the 0G-ish area.
Oh, so they would have been high. They
would have been in the core. They would have been down the middle, because he was on the, what I guess like a class trip sort of thing to that area, and they were in what Maglanica, or however you pronounce that word, Magalacana. It's that particular colony where they were hiding the Unicorn, because we build Gundams in secret on colonies. Once again, I started watching ahead. I started watching ahead a little
Texas
bit.
Colony anymore, dude.
I miss Texas Colony. Why have no forces pacified colonists by increasing the gravity several times over by increasing the rotation of the colony?
Because that would spin it apart and it would destroy itself.
That literally, it would pre too much stress, because they're only designed to be. Good God, go away! It like literally flew all the way up to the screen. But yeah, no, they could do that, but the colonies would rip themselves apart. I mean, it's just not worth it. Plus, the extra power generation to spin even faster probably wouldn't. Like, you ever tried to stop a colony from speeding or spinning? It's like imagine trying to speed it up. It's just like try to push those motors even harder. Ish. Maglanica. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like one of those weird. It's almost like Atlantica, but Maglanica. They say the name so often, but of course, with the Japanese way they say it, it's even a little weirder. So it's really hard to know as me too. But no, I mean, that's not a terrible idea. I just don't believe it would work. Because,
sounds like a good way to destroy a colony.
Well, anybody in something that could fly wouldn't be affected by that, because nothing that can get off the ground is affected by the gravity. Anything with thrusters, it's essentially 0G. There's nothing going on there once you get past a certain point. That's only for anything and everything sitting on the surface of the colony. So it's just a thing. I'm trying to think. No, if I remember correctly, Maglanica stopped rotating, and that's when the core slid out. In Unicorn, whenever they discovered the Laplace box.
It's been a while for me too. So
if I remember correctly, that's what happened when they located the Laplace box. It had stopped spinning, but that colony was abandoned at that point. After everything that went down. But yeah, so I mean, this was a great episode. Great battles. We got to see them basically just kick everything off. And we got the narration, and I even brought it up to you. I'm like, who is doing the narration? Because this is the first time we've gotten narration at all. And it's like, for me, I was like, is this a
Gundam?
I just thought like maybe it was a character looking back on things, because somebody who's lived through it, so to speak, And I kind of wondered, it's like, who is that person who's given this narration for the we've started basically what is known as the beginning of the 1 Year War, which he even mentions is the whatever, like, most atrocious thing in Houston,
Yeah,
in human history. So
wipes out about half the population.
it wipes out a lot of people. Yeah. So I mean, this was a very important episode plot wise for basically everything.
Yeah,
And I'm enjoying this, and I'm liking the characters. But now the one thing is, like, we see Garma come into his own in this episode due to Char. But we also see Char start to come unhinged more,
yeah.
which is interesting. Once again, going back to the idea that cyber new types get a little wonky. So maybe all this time, Char was the first cyber new type. Can be stable, but can also just go completely psychotic sometimes. Because, like, even like the couple times this episode where he's like activated, it's like interesting. But then he also smiles. He smiles at Garma last episode when he moves in, says he challenges him. He smiles again in this one when he gets the mask, when Lino gives him the mask.
Mm-hmm.
But after he's already decided he's going to definitely kill him today. He was like, before he was like, I can kill him anytime. He's not a problem. Oh, now you've made yourself a problem. You're going to die in the next 2 hours. But then he also smiled after he's done all this killing and became like the victor, and is basically looking over his victory.
Well,
And
something that's pointed out. I listened to this podcast, Mobile Suit Breakdown, where they've been going through every episode of Gundam in the order that it was came out.
Yeah.
And something that they pointed out was that new type abilities, at least by that point, they're at Zeta now, maybe 3/4 of the way through. New type abilities come out, at the very least, start becoming much stronger. It seems with when said new type is in battle, or after he or she starts going through battle.
So a bloodlust type deal.
Not even so much bloodlust as maybe just part of the survival instinct, maybe kicks it off or something like that. But so, like, Amuro doesn't really start really showing off his new type abilities until he sits down in the cockpit of the Gundam and does that. And Char doesn't even really start showing his abilities until he's been fighting the 1 Year War for a while.
Yeah.
And
well, in the concept of new type stuff, but the more advanced human idea has been around the whole time.
Yeah.
We see that in their sheer level of intelligence and physical capability.
The main new types that I can think of that seem to develop their abilities without being in battle there's been a few characters that are actually from the Jupiter system, because they have a mining operation in Jupiter, at least at some point, where they're harvesting helium-3 or something like that.
They're making GN particles.
That's where they base that off of.
Okay.
And so we see a couple of characters that came all the way from there, and they are not only are they new types, but they are very powerful new types.
They're far stronger because of their distance from Earth, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, I
can't
also
remember one of them becomes like one of the major antagonists in Zeta Gundam.
Okay. I mean, to me, I always assumed that time spent in space and doing things, and also exposure to other new types, also helps
psychically push
almost antagonize it out of them. They become stronger because more of them are there, And if they're on opposite sides, it boosts it even more. They become stronger because they have a stronger opposition of the same type. Basically, polar opposites getting stronger as they go. Part of a diadem sort of situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I figured that. But yes, Androius, cyber new types by definition get their power from human experimentation. That's what I'm suggesting.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing I'm suggesting with Char is that he was like one of the first cyber new types because they were trying to influence more new types to truly come out. Because Dakin wanted that. He wanted new types to really start to happen more. From what I gathered from watching this series. And once again, like I spoke earlier, the doting on Garma, the worship of Garma
Yeah.
within his own
There
family,
is
something
something
there.
weird about how he's doing that.
I feel like, given that they're the same age, grew up in affluent, powerful families who shared similar ideals, it wouldn't be above them both to take their child and engineer them to hopefully spark new type abilities. Unfortunately, in this case, it happened to Dakin. It happened with Casval. It didn't happen with Garma. That's my theory. Is that they both tried it, didn't happen with Dakin, which would also lean to the credence why they want the kids dead. Because the only other new type evolution that they tried to spark is Dakin's kids. And you definitely don't want to have somebody on the opposite side who's as powerful, if not more, than your new type you've tried to make.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's just a theory. It's not a fact. It's just something I'm picking up on and judging on what has happened in this series, not from OG Gundam, because this is not the same universe, so to speak. And given that Garma wasn't around long enough, and I assume was never in a mobile suit, right?
Not that I remember. I think he's been in. I think we see him in like some large, like tank-like vehicles or something like that.
But he's never. Is he more outside of the battle, commanding more than ever, straight up in the battle?
For the most part, he commands out from outside. Though there's been a couple of points where he will like.
But he's not.
There's a couple of points where he goes into battle, and that's where he meets his end.
Okay, so unlike Char, who has been in battle for a while in his life, literally fighting off people who are trying to kill him at the ripe old age of, 15, or even younger. So his abilities have a bigger head start, whereas Garma grew up in an affluent lifestyle where he wanted for nothing, didn't have to work for
Exactly.
anything, and only when he's finally in the military and given proximity to a real new type, so to speak, starts to come into his own. Just saying, it's entirely possible. Like, if we assume that Amuro is a natural new type who came from
Mm-hmm.
Earth, ironically, an Earthnoid became a powerful new type. Assuming Amuro is a natural new type and Char is technically one of the earliest cyber new types, if not the first, maybe it makes sense why their final battle went the way it did.
Hmm.
Just saying. Just saying. It's a theory. It's not a fact.
That's just a theory, a shoky
A
theory.
jokey theory. Sunday night. But that's my point. That's my point, Androius, is that in Double O, to help spark innovators to arise out of humanity, they created the Innovato. They created their own cyber new types, fake human beings that had the abilities of innovators but weren't, to help regular, real, natural innovators happen.
Mm.
Now, in UC, they're creating cyber new types because they don't have actual new types, right? kind of
Yeah, pretty much because
customizing them, so to speak.
yeah, because and something to note is at least early on we use the term cyber new type,
Yeah,
but technically that's not the word they're using in the Japanese.
yeah.
They actually use a term that I think translates to like augmented human or something like that.
Yeah, I mean they cover that
very common writer like actually.
Yeah, they cover that with Merida. They talk about that she's not one, she's a clone, but like her new type abilities aren't natural. They're forced upon her based with whatever they did, you know, either genetic manipulation or implants or something to give them those powers. No Lie Double had some legit open early views on gender identity and fluidity. We're not going there. But that's just my point, is that these people who want the Space Noid race to excel and exceed over Earthnoids, who know or have the theory that new types will come about eventually, why wouldn't you want to kickstart that to help prove your point?
Mm.
And you have the power and the money and the control to do it. Yeah, Banagher is a cyber new type in Unicorn novels, but anime remains vague about it. I always assumed Banagher was cyber new type. Riddy is a cyber new type, I think, too. So I think like natural new types are not as common in reality. So I mean, it's entirely possible. What's the idea? Also, the fact that okay, as we discussed earlier with coordinators, so coordinators were all genetically engineered, and then they could have natural born coordinators who are the children of coordinators. So once you start making them, they can make their own, and that's the thing. So if you want new types to happen, make yourself some new types. You know, it's like make yourself a couple new types. And it's possible maybe the zombies got ahead of time. That's why they started having more advanced children, and why they're all so very different from each other. And then Garma was like they're more finessed, like they finally got the formulation right, so to speak. And then Dakin, at the same time as having his first kid, why not do the same experimentation? See if it happens with his kid. He just happened to, who knows? They may have tried that with Rosa Lucia, and maybe that's why she never could have kids. It's because they were messing around too much. You never. It happens a lot in sci-fi. The more they try to screw to make their own custom humanity, it only takes like the perfect recipe to get it right. So if they tried hard with Garma, I'm gonna put this in the title now. It's like, where do new types come from? It's like, mommy, where does new types come from? Maybe we'll just do a whole separate new type theory video.
How is new type formed?
Because in almost all these other ones, X rounders and stuff like that from Age, they're all natural born. X rounders just happen. There doesn't seem to be anything about it. They just come up with the term. You know, these new advanced people who have higher levels of senses and all these other things. It's the same concept as a new type. But also the fact that it's not guaranteed genetically, because in the case of Age, it skips a whole generation. So Asamu was not an X-Rounder. His father was, and his son was. In fact, his son is one of the most powerful X-Rounders. He just happened to be a pacifist, of course. You know, but then, you know, the Vegans have X-Rounders of their own, which, you know, is just a thing. So, you know, it's just like either they spark it to happen automatically, or they know that it can happen and they're looking out for it. And then if you have X-Rounders, why not try to make some more X-Rounders for your side? Some extra breeding. I mean, you know, Nazis tried to make super soldiers. Where do you think all of this ideal came from? It all gets like Nazi super soldier program. Hello, space Nazis are literally making blonde haired, blue eyed super soldier children. You think this is a coincidence that Char might be a cyber new type? The first true cyber new type that worked?
It's an interesting thought.
Think about it. Coordinators couldn't produce a third generation, however. Sure. Beatles, all new type people. Where do they all come from? Okay. I don't understand that reference. But either way, this episode was good, and now I'm liking this whole new type discussion idea. Guys, let me know what you think down below if you're watching this after the fact, which we've been getting average 130, 140 views on these, so that's not too bad.
Not too bad.
I think everybody's just waiting for the next Re-Rise season. So, guys, I think we worked it out last time that if we keep on this every week, we will literally roll into the week that Re-Rise starts. So we're just going to keep going. And not next week, but the week after, you're taking off for fun time, I believe, fun time family stuff.
Yeah, we got a Cub Scout camp out thing at the Lexington, I think it is.
Nice. So guys, Joey will be coming back to fill in, and Ramba Rawl is in that episode, so he's excited that he gets to be Ramba in the thumbnail again. When I told him that you were going to be taking off and asked him if he could fill in again, he's like, only if I could be Rawl in the thumbnail again. I was like, so when we talked earlier and I jumped ahead to see it would be episode 8, I was like, that's why I was scrolling through. I'm like, is Rawl in this episode? There he is. There's my thumbnail. So it's good.
Nice.
And basically, that's going to be a good episode. So that's literally when Xeon decides to start doing all the things Xeon does. So
I'm missing some good discussion stuff.
New type discussion in the Discord. Sure, why not? We could do that. Jerry says that's in his neck of the woods. You should drop by. Said in the Lexington. What are you talking about with your trip?
The Lexington, as in the USS Lexington.
Yeah, I don't think he means Lexington, Kentucky.
No.
Wait, not. Where is that?
Galveston, or is it Corpus?
Wait, is that the Lexington? I thought that was. I know the ship. You're talking about the aircraft carrier.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's a carrier. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an aircraft carrier. I don't think that's the Lexington.
Well, I know it's the Lexington is what we're going to, because that's what they're talking about.
They might have more than one ship there. But yeah, no, that's. Oh, he is. Oh, Jerry's in Corpus. I didn't know that.
Okay, so he knows what I'm talking about. See,
I didn't know Jerry was even a Texan. It's like he's been a long time subscriber and he's super active in the Discord. I just didn't know he was in Texas. See, we're all Zeke's in space. Next time on Zeke's in space. That's funny. Ramba and Hamon. Yes, very good. Okay, well, yeah, maybe hit up Jerry while you're out there if you feel like running into one of our constant commenters. You haven't run into anybody in real life yet, have you?
Outside of build stuff.
Outside of guys we know, right? I mean, and that's the thing. I have yet to be recognized or anything out in public, or that anybody has said anything. I'm not gonna say I look forward to that. I just kind of like one day it will happen that I'll run into somebody who I don't know who knows who I am. Because like other than you were like kind of the first one, but you hadn't seen my face yet, so you didn't know who I was.
Yeah, because it never occurred to me that, it's like I was thinking of you as just a YouTuber, so it never occurred to me that a YouTuber
I'm a real person
in the same space as me, basically. That I never even thought that you
exist. I was definitely not a YouTuber when we first met. I was just some guy doing videos. I don't even consider myself a YouTuber now.
But so it's like it was just crazy that. Yeah, it's like because I go into my very first build meet with the tier and ground type, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm working on this thing called Lupus for Lupus. Have you guys heard about that? And you're just kind of like, did he just really talk about my own contest and not even acknowledge that I'm standing in front of him?
Speaking of which,
yeah,
I'm wearing and your shirt is your Lupus. Yeah, so you're wearing your Lupus shirt. So what are this? I swear to God, we don't coordinate these things. I've been wearing this all day. So either way, guys, so we're going to go ahead and go. It's gotten late and somebody have to work tomorrow and I have to do reviews and laundry. So guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Remember, we do these things every Sunday, or at least we try to. We have to make sure our schedule doesn't get screwed up for build divers. So
right.
It's like, so we have to keep doing this. And of course, come back next week for episode 7, which will be when we meet Lala for the first time. Yay. Oh, by the way, last night at the build meet that you didn't come to, we discussed a lot of things, including different Gundam series, but I watched the Hello Kitty Gundam thing. Wow. That's all I got to say is wow.
I need to check that out. I haven't had a chance to look at that yet.
I didn't know they did a whole channel just for that, and they did. There's a whole channel specifically for it. There's no subs, though, unfortunately. So, but you kind of get the gist of what's happening. Just wow. But also, we were discussing how long Lala was around in original Gundam versus how long she's around in Gundam The Origin. Which one does she actually have more screen time? So if you guys know, leave it in the comments down below.
Well, I got to work tomorrow, so I need to go.
Thought you were going to steal my outro.
Keep on nerding, keep on building.
At least say it the way I do.
No, go ahead.
Hold on. Let's do this. Let's do this like a ventriloquist. I'm going to drink. You say the lines.
I can't.
Come on. You could have done it. You've heard my outro a million times.
Go ahead.
Oh, and Tinky Winky come in later. Anyways, guys, so remember as always to keep on nerding, keep on building, and let's keep this. God damn it. I screwed up my own lines. I thought about it. Let's keep building this community together.
And I'll see you the next time you invade my shelf space.
Go invade his shelf space. Link is in the description. And cheers.
Okay.
I drank this whole beer.
Good night.
Ending the broadcast.